The tabletop takeaway.
Game mechanics on display.
Three designers share the stage. Pick a genre and we'll play. The tabletop takeaway.
Welcome back to the Tabletop Takeaway. I'm Charlie McCarran.
I'm Trevor Muller-Hagel.
And I'm Ananda Gunratna.
And in this episode, we're talking about our third RPG, Dread. And if you haven't listened to our bonus episodes, go back and we have a special episode series with our playing through our characters in three different RPGs.
It's a lot of content.
That's so much
go and listen.
More content than we produced in a single month.
Yes.
Ever. Yep. Or released, I should say.
They are for the true fans who want to hear us make up a really stupid, silly story.
Started with dragon poop and ended with, death. But, you can find out more about that.
Yep. So, speaking of death, that is what Dread is all about. It's about fear. And the idea of this RPG is that your characters are going to die. So it's not meant to be a long campaign like D&D where you could play forever. It's meant for one session probably because the thing is, instead of rolling dice, you have one big Jenga tower in the middle. And every time your character has to do something that's a little bit stressful, they have to pull from the tower, set it on top, and if the tower collapses, their character just dies. And the game master, who's called the host in this one, has to come up with a exciting and satisfying ending to their death.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, the fun is figuring out how you're gonna die, which I really enjoyed that concept. And for me as the host, this was my first time actually being a game master.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like, oh, I hope this is gonna work. And I think the hardest part was I wasn't sure just like how much to plan for, because I knew part of Dread is that you let the players kind of shape how the story goes. And in our session too, we already had characters created from the previous sessions. But the one thing I did incorporate that you're supposed to do at the beginning of the Dread session is give people a questionnaire. And it's questions that get into the sort of like their backstory a little bit and their mental state, like asking them about what do they most fear, what are they most excited about. Their character, yeah,
not the person,
not the
player.
person. And yes, like many RPGs, they say you should always follow what the character would do, not necessarily what you want to do with the story. And the questionnaire, I probably didn't do it as Dread would normally be played because we already had the characters kind of created. But what they want you to do is give unique questions to each character, so that you're and kind of leading questions too, like why were you the only one left alive in the cabin or something like that.
Dungeon World does something a bit like that too.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Leading questions,
yeah. And you were asking a lot of questions during Dungeon World,
yes,
which I was not doing so much in Dread. But
it was your first time also GMing in any regard.
Yeah, so
running the mechanism was the main thing we needed to do, and we did that great.
Yeah, we did.
Was perfect.
We did the Jenga tower.
Yep.
So, what are you guys' thoughts at having?
It really is a fun play on kind of an RPG experience because you are not like this created character that has, a lot of stats and a lot of things, equipment, gear, money. Like, that's all very much tertiary. It's not even secondary. Really, it's about your character and their current emotional and mental state, which I really liked playing with a little bit as Whistly, because, like, He just had his, I won't give it away too much because, you have to listen to it. But, people die. And, that made him very sad. And he was like, well, what do I do now? What am I, and I'm not going to be able to retire because I'm going to still be seen. And then he loses that even. It's like, oh, now people don't even like me anymore. What the heck? And so, he was kind of being peeled away as we were playing the game, which I really appreciated. So I think there's really something to being able to, peel back the emotional layers of this fictional character. I think that's a really interesting that you can do that in a game.
Yeah. The focus on fears, I think, was a nice change from sort of the normal atmosphere of these games. One thing that did occur to me, though, so the Jenga tower is pretty cool. I mean, it's really fun to use that as a resolution mechanic. But one thing I did notice, I felt for most of the game, I felt pretty confident in my ability to pull a Jenga block.
Yeah.
And so I was not that worried for most of the game about anything that I tried to do.
Yeah.
Whereas with dice, you never know when you're going to roll a low number. Now, of course, if you fail the Jenga tower, you die, but it's up to your skill, so it feels, I don't know, it felt to me like it was more within my control.
Sure.
Than the dice are.
And
yeah.
I think that is kind of a cool thing, too, because, having that sense of being in control, and then slowly that control erodes, and you no longer have that control when it gets to a certain state.
That's true, yeah. As you get closer to the end of the game, I did feel more and more uncertain.
And if you are one of these people that's really cocky and actually not very good, then your character might die really quickly.
Right.
And so that could actually add a little bit of flavor to that, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah. And I think a talented host of Dread would probably be good at knowing that, I think they mentioned this too, that you try to make more and more pulls as the game gets closer to its conclusion.
Yeah.
So that,
the threat is increasing.
The threat's increasing and the character's mental states are getting worse and worse. And the other thing to mention too, it's, I think, meant to be in a larger player count game generally, so that a few people die. And the thing we didn't do for time's sake, they say that after a character dies, you reset the tower and just pull out 3 more blocks for the person who died.
Right, because there's one fewer character.
Yeah.
So that's kind of stays true to that 5 minus whatever.
Yeah, and I didn't explain that, but yes, for the setup, you started out with the tower a little bit depleted based on how many players are in the game. If there's 5 players in the game, you would not take any blocks out and put them on top. But since there's only 2 players and me, we took out 9 blocks and set them on top.
3 per missing player, so to speak.
Which, it was fairly easy for you guys to do the pulls, so I maybe would have done a few more blocks out to make it a little more wobbly to start.
Were we supposed to put them on top or just shorten the tower? I wonder.
I think on top.
Put them on top, okay.
Because then it would add
adds
weight on the upper.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing I really liked about this is so the focus on death and also the focus on heroic sacrifice, because one of the mechanics is if you don't think you can make a pull or you just want to, you can just knock over the tower, and then that's like a heroic sacrifice in the fiction.
You know you're going to die.
Yeah.
You might as well go out with a bang.
Yes. And the game sets up your expectations for this. Throughout the game, I was kind of excited about the idea that we were going to die. And, I wanted to see us die.
I wanted to feel that tension. Yeah.
Well, I wanted us to actually die.
You want us to die, yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted to experience that.
I wanted to know how it happened for each character. And I think that's a fun thing that's maybe not as explored in other RPGs because...
It's about longevity and leveling up, getting magical equipment.
Yeah, there's dramatic roles around avoiding death.
Yeah,
but because this one sets the expectation from the beginning that everybody's going to die, it lets players have fun with how that happens for their character.
Yeah. And I think if I, having heard that, what I would do differently next time as a host is think about, like, of satisfying death for each of you.
Right.
And, like, maybe we... Because I was sort of... I had planned out the beginning, but a little bit of, like, okay, set up this world where we get to see who dead people are. Yeah. And then... And I knew, like, I wanted to get you back to Dormian's place somehow. But, like, I didn't think through, like, what would be a fun way that you die.
Yeah, I mean, at one point during, I think it was the scheme to bring giant buffed up Bessie into the ghost world.
Yeah.
I was tempted to just knock over the tower so that it could be like, because one of the things about the heroic sacrifice is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's supposed to, like, create a critical success.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're sacrificing your character, so it should be like an epic success. And then, of course, the tower's reset, so the tension goes way back down again.
Yes.
Right.
So it would make sense. So I was contemplating doing that as a solution to the march of the muscly titans.
Instead, we strapped a dragon to an arrow. But you can...
Well, no, I was planning on doing it as part of that scheme.
Oh, as part of that.
To make sure that the scheme worked and solved the problem. But I didn't end up doing that.
Yeah, and one thing that we didn't do in it, which I mentioned, is you can pre-pull a block if you want to make sure the thing could succeed a little more. Yeah, if you want to, like, basically up your chances of something working.
That's so interesting because, like, there aren't numbers per se, and so, like, would that add, like, a level of success to it, or would it be like?
Yeah, I guess maybe the host
will
decide, like,
very
okay, I'll give you a
subjective.
little better outcome.
Well, that's true of all RPG mechanics. They're well, I mean, obviously dice have numbers on them, but the fictional elements of any RPG are not numerical.
That's true.
Which
That's
is
very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what makes RPGs unique among games, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, if I was going to say a takeaway, it would obviously be, like, using the Jenga tower for me as a way to, give something other than dice.
Yes.
And I think, like, using the Jenga tower didn't have that tension as much at the beginning, but I would like, maybe there's another physical component that could have a little more.
Well, I think actually it is. Thinking back, I think that is the key advantage of the Jenga tower over, say, you could simulate this with a bag full of colored marbles.
Sure.
Where, each time you draw out a marble, and then if you draw out like a red marble or something bad happens. So the more marbles you draw out, the more likely the
Just
bad
to
thing.
do a similar simulation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, technically that would be similar, but I think the key point about the Jenga tower, which I'm now realizing for what we were talking about, is the sort of the sense of control it gives players early on, that deteriorates the higher the tower gets.
Yeah.
Because with a bag of marbles, you don't have control over what you draw.
Right. Very similar to a dice or a deck of cards.
Yeah, it's probability. But with the Jenga blocks, you feel like, I'm in control here.
Right.
I can determine whether this succeeds or fails.
Look at all these things I can easily pull out. This is easy.
Yeah, but
I did think about that too. I was curious if you guys were like, this is when I want to die, and maybe you're a little less careful about how.
I did do that once.
But I mean, it's fundamentally different from any system based on random draws of cards or dice.
Right.
But it's still, I mean, you could still call it a random resolution system, and it is, but it's one that gives the players a sense of agency in the process of determining the random outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's very interesting to have a dexterity game as the resolution mechanic because there is implicitly, like with all of us, a different scale of that ability, right?
Yeah.
Like, not everyone is going to be able to even do that. And so, like, it's really interesting just to have that kind of dynamic between the players It's like, oh, good, that person's going to do the pull this time. It probably won't fall over. I feel better.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's Shaky Hands McGee. Shaky Hands McGee will always knock it over. We have to be really careful about them going into danger.
Yep.
Yeah, and it works very well for a horror-themed game because of how the tension just builds and then collapses like the tower when someone dies.
I kind of wish, and I don't know if it would be having a larger tower, smaller tower, but like I really want that action to happen faster. Mm-hmm. And so that we get to the top of the tower, we get to this instability faster so that it drops and then it resets. Because like playing with 5 people, to me, it would be an even longer game and not a shorter game. Mm-hmm. Because like they have you preset things out. But then if
and each person has to have like a satisfying amount of things.
So there's a
to
reset
do, kinda.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it feels exponentially longer, but maybe that's just a misconception right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This whole thing also reminds me of like I think in our discussion on Galaxy Trucker, at some point I'm sure we've talked about this about losing in games and how to make losing feel fun. Now, dying is not necessarily losing,
right?
Especially in an RPG. But I think there's a similar thing going on here, where the way the game is set up makes it so that dying is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I think maybe my takeaway might be that if you set players up with the expectation that something is going to happen, then they don't mind when it happens, even if it's something that's normally seen negatively.
Right. Well, and we literally set up this game so that, we would do D&D and Dungeon World first and then go into Dread, because we knew Dread, we would be killing people off.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, just having that knowledge going into the game, that makes it part of the game.
Yeah.
As opposed to like D&D, it's like, okay, this could be a one-shot, and maybe in a one-shot everyone might die. And that could feel fun and like, heroic.
Yeah.
But in a long campaign, like, you don't want to die.
Yeah, I think this ties back to the importance of foreshadowing in games.
Sure.
Because if you basically, with foreshadowing, things feel fair if they are foreshadowed ahead of time. And so in this case, if you tell people you're going to die, then it feels fair that you die.
Yeah, and you just go into it knowing and accepting already that you're going to die.
Yeah.
And now you want to make it the most interesting or most fun death.
Yes.
And that's the goal.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a lot more fun.
Yeah, and I think just learning how to be a host of this too, I think foreshadowing is a huge thing that we had talked about, and maybe I tried to do a little bit, but I would have been cool to, I think because we already had these characters built up and like different elements that we could bring back, but that does feel like a good thing to do in any RPG, really, like foreshadow.
I think it's a good thing to do in anything.
Yeah.
Games, stories, or other life. Yeah.
You bring up to your parents like, hey, you know what? I really like Chicago. That's a cool place, and then you end up moving to Chicago.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay, he likes Chicago.
Yeah.
We know that now.
Foreshadow everything.
Yeah.
That way. You foreshadow something, and then when it happens, it makes sense to people.
Yeah.
Or at least they're able to tell themselves a story in their head where it makes sense.
But they connect the dots.
Yeah. People like...
Connect the dots like a route on
a
thing.
People like to believe that there's...
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, people like to believe that there's an underlying logic to the world. So, giving them a story they can tell themselves where things make sense is comforting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I really, really appreciate, like, normally games, more modern games have been doing it, I think, more, but you enter an RPG with this intent to do something. Like, D&D, you're going on a quest, you're going on an adventure, and that's where the expectation ends. Then you're just on that, whatever that ends up being. With this, it's like a specific, like, you're going to build a town, you're going to make a story, in this world, you're going to create something that is this thing.
Yeah.
And then it ends, and then it's over, and then it's done. And this, I think, is just a really great, like, buttoned up experience. and really captures like what it's trying to do between the terror, the horror, and death.
Yeah.
Like it's really good for, I think, these modern games to be exploring these more niche parts of RPGs and of, storytelling. So for my takeaway, I didn't actually say a takeaway.
Oh, sure.
I am going to say that I really like that aspect because I forgot I was going to do a takeaway. But yeah, the focus on death and then reinforcing the mechanics around it to be that, and the horror and the dread, the existential dread, especially where you're trying to figure out like, oh my God, my character, they really want this, but they can't have it. Like my character's desire to retire, and he doesn't get to retire. It's like, oh my God, no.
Yeah.
He just wanted to retire. But yeah, it's really it's a really cool way to go about it. So yeah, I think in modern day RPGs, it's good to focus on, if you're doing a smaller RPG at least, focus on what that experience is about.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Rather than try to make it all
encompassing. Because every RPG I have ever worked on for myself, which none of them have been published, but I always try to make it an all-encompassing RPG because I'm trying to reflect D&D or other systems. And it's, for one, a lot of work, obviously. But for two, it also dilutes a lot of the experience. Where if you can focus in on a concept, focus in on a target, and really focus on that and deliver that really well, then that's, I think, a really good approach.
Yeah. Yeah. It's reminding me of my other game designer friend, Trevor, made an RPG for us that was, it was sort of like D&D style mechanics, but going through a mysterious manner kind of thing. And we played through the whole thing, and at night he would tell us, like, oh, okay, you went to sleep, and then you had a dream about, and Charlie, you dreamed about blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't know what that means. And then, like, none of us caught on to it, but what he had done was call all our friends and ask about stories from our past.
Oh my God, you personally?
And he put that into our characters.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was... I wish I had figured it out during the thing, but...
That's fascinating.
Yeah, that made me think...
Try and get you more... draw you into the game more, maybe.
I guess, yeah. It went over my head because it was so out of context. Like, I wouldn't have ever thought he would do that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That makes me think of all those false Hydra stories you read about from...
What?
False
I don't know.
Hydras?
What's that
The
mean?
false Hydra. It's like a D&D monster.
A false Hydra is a D&D monster.
Yeah. But it's a... Okay, well, maybe...
I know Hydras.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I don't know.
Slight tangent, but so it's a really cool monster because it sort of makes people forget that certain people existed.
Oh.
And so DMs who run false Hydras often do these really elaborate setups to make the players believe, or to make the players feel that they... So like, as an example, let's say, the party suddenly, you're in an inn for the night, and then the next morning, the DM set things up so that you find evidence that there's a party member that none of you remember. Like, there are 4 people in your group, and you suddenly find some evidence that suggests that there's a 5th person in your group, but
you don't remember them. You haven't seen them.
Right. Well, you don't like in the real world. You do not have a 5th player.
Right.
So you've been doing like 10 sessions, and it's always been the 4 people in your group.
Yeah.
And now over the course of the false Hydra game, the DM is basically exposing that there's been a 5th member all along that you in the real world didn't know about because they didn't exist.
Right.
But in the fiction, it's sort of been retconned, so they were there, but they've they've fallen victim to a false hydra.
Whoa.
And so the players sort of discover this horror mystery story.
Oh, that's cool.
In the same way that their characters would.
I love that.
You should go online and search for False Hydra D&D and read some of the stories of how it's pretty interesting stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I guess just to tie that back into Dread, I really like the promise of it that you're doing this way more psychological RPG than I'm sure there's lots like that, but versus like most of the RPGs I've played are pretty straightforward of like and not that I've played that many, but you know, go on
played
the
at least
adventure.
3 now.
Yeah.
4, including
Yeah.
Trevor's, yeah.
Go on the adventure, slay the dragon, etc. And
Yep.
yeah, I like that twist. So
I think I was just thinking about if I were to change one thing about Dread, I would have 3 different tiers of difficulty, and it would be 1 additional poll for each additional tier of difficulty.
Okay, so if it's something really hard, they're going to pull 3.
Yeah.
well, and I should have done that because
okay.
actually
Is that part of
Dread
it?
said there was some. If the thing is really hard, you should do a multi-step
Okay.
pull, and like, so I'd lead you through like, okay, you do this thing first, then you got to do this, then you got.
And it really mirrors then horror video games, because a lot of those like Resident Evil style games, they'll have like when you're doing like the little button command thing, be, okay, press X really fast. Okay, now press circle. Then okay, now press down. Oh god.
No, yeah, that
And
would
so
be good.
yeah, it kind of is reflecting that a little bit, which I can definitely appreciate that.
I think what this is making me want to try would be somewhere in between a dice roll and a Jenga tower, in that maybe there's like a tower or some thing that falls way more easily than a whole Jenga tower. So it's like maybe every 3 or 4
It's made out of
attempts.
sticks.
Yeah, every 3 or 4 attempts it falls down.
Yeah.
And then you get like that buildup of like, ooh, okay, this one will be easier. Oh, that's not gonna work. Versus like, actually, yeah, the dice.
Do you mean like in a normal board game, not an RPG?
Well, RPG maybe.
I mean,
Or normal board game.
I think the mechanic could work in a normal board game.
Sure. It's so I've talked about it in several podcast episodes, but pink noise versus white noise or brown noise.
Oh, yeah.
So like
Remind me again.
white noise, total randomness. You roll a d20 and it's 1 through 20. You roll it again, it's the same odds every time. And then brown noise would be like you step one step in a direction, and then it's going to go either 1 step or 1 step forward, 1 step back, and like you're going just incrementally.
Like a random walk.
Yeah, random walk. Thanks. And pink noise is like a Jenga tower, essentially.
Okay.
You're building it up. It's more likely and more likely to fall, and then eventually it falls. And but you don't know exactly when. But it's building towards that.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. Cool. That wraps up Dread. And tune in next time for our bonus episode on RPGs.
Hey, thanks for listening to The Tabletop Takeaway. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. So please tell your friends and visit our website at thetabletoptakeaway.com, where you can suggest games and mechanics for us to cover next on the show.